It's David Knight back at OK Boomer, and yes, I have Mr. John Maclean again, all the way from Sydney, Australia. This is episode 5. So super excited about that. John, hey, how are you?
G'day, Dave. Doing great, mate. Missing my buddy.
Yeah, well, missing you too, but and I'm in the way of this amazing photo. This is like one of the best photos of you and Big John O. Whoop whoop! Tell me about that. Like that is just heroes with heroes. So what's going on?
Yeah, quick backstory on that photo. As people that are new to the story, so I was training for a triathlon, got hit by a truck, and then came back to do it as a wheelchair athlete. So here's Big Jono, who's getting me out of the water to transition onto my hand cycle. So that's a great memory for me to kind of have that. It's so important to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, like I can remember carrying you on all sorts of different swims, whether it's down that rocky Pebble Beach to the English Channel or Bondi Beach as we trained for that. But you're a heavy fella sometimes.
I certainly was then. I was, what, 20 kilos, 44 pounds heavier. So just goes to show how strong you are to carry me.
That's right. We do digress. So here we are. We're talking about John Maclean's book. It is called Change, A Constant Challenge. It's a really great read. At the bottom of this video, you can take the link to Amazon, pick it up. Highly recommended. So just to recap for those that are new, John and I are great mates. We've known each other for, I think we worked it out, 27 years or so. Done lots of crazy things from Iron Man to Ultraman to swimming the English Channel, just name dropping a few. And John's book is about the 5 M's. So what is a process for change, and whether that's a personal change, trying to achieve great things in terms of setting yourself a goal. Setting yourself a goal at work, career change, family activities, etc. So there's lots of things that this is relevant to. We've gone through the first step, which is the map. So you can see the diagram top left. Mapping your way to success, mindset, surrounding yourself with and having a very positive attitude. Last week we talked about mentor and the roles that they play. And today is about motivation. And I've always said, John, you probably have a similar or different perspective, but this stuff is all 90+% mental and 10% physical. So having that mental motivation, especially during the tough times, is key to getting you to the start line and then the finish line. So in the quote in the book, you've got motivation. Some people dream of success while others wake up and work hard at it. So what's that all about?
Well, there's the piece about having dreams, and I think when we're kids, we have lots of them. But as we get older, we stop dreaming and we stop believing, and therefore dreams don't come true. So, how do dreams come true? They come true by action. You and I had to do a lot of swimming in order to swim the English Channel. That's action. So there was a dream of doing it. There was action to work towards it. So I think that's the piece around the importance of dreaming, but also having the action to see the goal come true.
Yeah, it's funny. We've been using it around the sales team right now. It's funny how the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? Which I think is a quote from either Arnold Palmer or somebody like that. But whether it's the golf course or whether it's finishing great events, it is all about hard work, right? Grit, training, getting yourself mentally and physically prepared. So, uh, what gets you out of bed in the morning, John?
Well, I always, and I think we're similar in this regard. I always like to have something to look forward to. So if I've got something to look forward to, then it's an added bonus to look forward to getting out of bed and working towards what you're working towards. So, um, what am I currently looking forward to? I like this piece around momentum. It's good to, sorry, this motivation piece to have something to be excited about. That I've found as well, maybe you have this motivation sometimes wanes, and therefore you need others to help you continue to be motivated. So I'm excited about getting this book out to the world and sharing with others to assist them in some of the challenges that they're in to help them overcome.
Yeah, I think that you and I are pretty similar. I mean, I know I'm at my best when I have a goal, right? It's almost like a ship without a rudder, right? Where does that go? Well, it goes where the wind blows you to, right? If you're trying to get somewhere, then you need a direction and you need the ability to get there. I've also been known to like set goals that really scare the shit out of me, right? So, it's not only getting you excited about it, but, understanding that if you don't put the work in, right, you're going to look a fool, right? Or it's really going to hurt. So those are the kind of the two things that I like to motivate me. I know we talked a little bit about music previously when had the mantra of like, I feel good. I love running. I think you had a particular kind of bent for music. You and I love jazz. I know we've both attempted to play the saxophone, which was pretty horrific for those trying to listen to us. But what do you see? You see NBA stars, NFL stars. They've got these headphones on, and pre-game they're kind of getting their mental game on. How do you use music, if at all?
Yeah, so music's been. Let's touch on music, and then we'll look at kind of movies and how we can motivate ourselves, and also how others can motivate us. Music for me, I think when I look back for the English Channel, having the Blues Brothers, I would pump that up maximum volume in the morning to motivate me, A, to get out of bed, and B, to prepare of getting in really, really cold water. Really cold. 9 degrees was the temperature. So you needed to be motivated towards, getting into that. So every morning I'd play the same song, and it would motivate me to get excited, get into the pier in order for me to get into the water. So music's always played a big part in my life. I think if I looked at Beijing, for example, working towards the games in rowing, 2008, I am my rowing partner after a gold medal. So the thing that really resonated with me and motivated me on a daily basis was the song Sting, Fields of Gold.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to music that motivated me to work towards my goals. And, I'm a massive fan of, my father was a singer, as I think you know, Dave, and having that opportunity to listen to Pavarotti and music in the three tenors as a younger person, I really had an appreciation of music. And in particular, Nessun Dorma was a great motivator. It just gave me goosebumps to continue to move forward. So music's played a really big part in my life around motivating me towards chasing goals and dreams.
Yeah, just a side message. I remember one of the last trips I was in Sydney where you and I went to your favorite Italian restaurant, and my son James, who's an opera singer, you convinced him to sing Nessun Dorma in the restaurant. So I think we got some free Zambuca shots after that, so it was pretty effective.
I tell you, that was what a wonderful memory to look back on. And I remember saying to Charlie, who's the proprietor, saying, can James sing? It's an Italian restaurant, and he's a singer. And he went, kind of not really, that doesn't kind of happen. And I said, no, you don't understand, this guy can sing. So when James got up, and so wonderful to have that, everybody you might recall in the restaurant stopped and turned, had that goosebump moment again, getting out their phones, doing videos and doing, so a wonderful occasion. And I miss spending time with James as well. I mean, the music and Nessun Dorma is just beautiful to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, back to that, it's 90% mental, right? Yeah, you got to do the physical work, but ultimately what's going to get you to the finish line? And I've always said it's actually the hardest part is getting to the start line, right? When you're doing these types of events, the pre-work, the 6 months, the year, the 2 years, the 4 years of training that you need to do day in, day out, right? How do you get through those pieces, right? Like, it's easy to roll over when it's raining outside knowing that you've got to do a 10, 15, 20 mile run. Or you've got to go swim, and it's basically, 9 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Fahrenheit water, and you've got to go and get in there and swim for an hour, 2 hours. That stuff takes a lot of grit, right? And, whatever it takes to get there, and I know you were particularly focused on the word gold for Beijing, so everything around you was gold, right? And that's the color you were going for, and you got silver, which is, second place, and I know that's pretty well last place, but, it was a huge effort, and everybody was there. I know in the book also you've got some quotes there like pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again, which was a theme for a Gatorade ad, I think. But talk to us about that. And I know it's kind of still probably raw. It's probably still too early to talk about 2000, but it was only 20 years ago. so what times have you actually like crashed and not finished and felt like, oh man, okay, that was that was not what I hoped for, but it's time to get up and move forward.
Um, I'm going to sidestep here and give you an example of the motivation, the internal motivation, but also introduce the external motivation. So we kind of touched on music. So here's an external example whilst I was in hospital, which leads into Hawaii. So we can cover the Olympics as well 20 years ago. So I'm lying in the hospital bed after getting hit by the truck, and I'm broken. And my dad was there, obviously my brother, and the thing that really changed my experience was when my family doctor came to visit me. Dr. Gabriel was his name. He picked up the notes on the back of the bed, and clearly there were many, and then eventually put them back again. He sat on the side of the bed, and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Don't worry, you will be bigger, you will be stronger, and you will be faster." And then he left the room. So what did he do? He saw someone who was broken, and he wanted to inspire, to motivate that person that life continues to go on, and I could play a part in that experience. So, let's fast forward that to a Hawaiian Ironman. I had to do all that work to put myself on the start line. I mean, you just don't dream about it and you're there. You've got to, as you said, you've got to put in the work, do the miles, and build a team to support. So very briefly over Ironman, do the swim 2.4, do the bike 112 miles. The last couple of miles, I realised I was not going to make the cutoff time. So my best buddy with you, John Young, was there that year in '95. So I was cooked. My motivation had run dry. I had nothing left to give. So he says, I'm not with my son at the moment for his birthday, I'm with you. And then that famous line, um, the pain won't last forever, but the memories will. So there's the example that it's important to be motivated by yourself. That's an intrinsic motivation, but also have other people tap into that can help get you to that finish line. And Jono, with those words, an external motivator, made a whole lot of sense to help me to continue to keep on going. So now let's bring in 2000, chasing dreams and everything else. So, crashing at the Olympic Games. We all crash in life, and I think with this global pandemic, there's a good example. I guess the question is, how do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go again? And, you're a great example. I vividly recall I was feeling flat because that wasn't the finish I was hoping for. And you said, grab your gear, we're going out to celebrate. So, I was feeling kind of down. You might recall I crashed onto my shoulder and I was feeling sorry for myself. And then you basically said, hey, listen, it's just time to celebrate. I've flown in from Hong Kong. You have just participated at the Olympic Games. 2 years ago, I was from the English Channel. So that's a great way to celebrate. Let's, lift yourself up and dust yourself off and let's go and have a drink. And we did. So you could see, again, the importance of having those right people around you to help you to keep on going. And then, after Sydney, there have been many more experiences that you and I've had. So I think it's important to learn to let go along the way, and therefore, letting go of the truck, letting go of crashing at the Olympics, letting go of the times that don't go right, but dusting yourself off to get ready to go again for the next day and having something else to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, outside influence and motivators are really important. And I've always said, like, go public with your goals, right? So if you're setting yourself a target, like, I'm going to go swim the English Channel, like, put it out there, right? You'll get all sorts of different reactions, right? And both of them can be motivating. I can remember when I just started at Gatorade and I met with Bob Murray, Dr. Bob Murray from the GSSI, and I asked him about, Ironman, and at the point I was probably like 240, 250 pounds, right? Just way too much, and hadn't really done a triathlon before, and this I did a small one, I think, in Noosa, and then you helped me set my goals to go and do Hawaii, and he just laughed at me, right? He just looked at me and said, because he'd been around all the Gatorade athletes who do Ironman and world champions and all that stuff, and he just looked at me and laughed. Now, I particularly found that very motivating, right? It's just like,
Yes.
So those that like challenge you, that you can't do this, this is just ridiculous, are, to me, sometimes even more motivating than those that just pat you on the back and just say, good luck, go for it, you can do it. But I don't know, have you ever had doubting Thomases that say to you, like, hey, John, don't bother, like, why would you even do this? You're not going to make it.
Yeah, we can have external people that drive us to action or inaction. Example, I remember an old football coach said to me, I'm going to have to let you go. I don't believe you've got heart. Well, guess what? That highly motivated me to prove him and others wrong, that I do have heart, and I hope that I've been able to demonstrate a few examples of those. So you can see how, an external influence like you, with Dr. Bob laughing at you, you went, well, you know what, I'll show you, and you did. So I guess there's always examples for all of us, that people don't always think that, they want to be positive, or they want to be around you to say the right things. And so, yes, there's been absolutely examples of people who are not always there to lift you up, but therefore you can draw on that motivation to get you to your finish line. And I think, some of the other things that you and I have done, it's so important for the individual to go, this is exactly what I want, and, draw on all your forms of motivation. Um, can I give you some movie examples?
Sure.
Okay. So, the love of running as a boy was something I look back on with very fond memories. So when I saw the movie Chariots of Fire and the basis of running, I mean, my three favorite movies are based on running. A massive motivator for me. So if I'm kind of sitting down and relaxing and just taking it easy and seeing a movie like that, that's a huge motivating driving force to go, yes, come on, pull the positive energy towards wanting to do that. So there's the first one. Second one, Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump, you might recall,
That's my favorite
okay.
movie. Yeah.
And there's another great one, and there's a running component in that, because you might recall with the movie, early stages of being in braces, the Forrest didn't run, and then Forrest could run, and he just kept on running. So again, I could relate and connect into that. And the last one is Avatar, which the movie is based on a guy who's had paralysis in a wheelchair, but when he goes into this different phase, as an avatar, he's running. So there's always this. So it's movies like that that really motivate me to continue to chase my present goal. And you can always access, so again, Nessa Dormer or Field of Gold. I try and pull on lots of different external examples of motivation to assist in the journey. So there are many examples for all of us.
Yeah, I think with Gatorade, and I think Gatorade opened lots of doors for me, and I think one that you and I both walked through was NBA All Stars in Atlanta, where Michael Jordan was playing, and I got the privilege of meeting him really briefly, but I loved what he said. I can handle failure, I just cannot handle not trying, right? And so you and I have had significant failures. One of them was Ultraman, where we both DNF'd, which was my first DNF, it's an acronym for did not finish. So instead of having a time next to your name on the results sheet, you just get a DNF. Quite painful. But those types of superstars, right? They leave a legacy. I mean, Michael Jordan, certainly was the NBA player when I was younger and part of the Gatorade family. I mean, what are your favorite sports stars? Is there a role for sports icons to motivate you?
Absolutely. I think it's whatever you're into to be able to draw that motivation. So again, so if you're in the music stuff, you want to listen to that, or the movies, you want to watch that, or reading books. I mean, I've drawn on lots of examples of motivation. Here's a good one for you. Having the chance to watch Muhammad Ali, and again, Gatorade, thanks to you and our relationship and the doors that were open for me to get a chance to meet with Spike Lee, who was putting that new ad campaign together, moving away from Gatorade EGG, and meeting um, meeting Muhammad Ali was a boyhood dream. So in terms, rubbing him and John Carlos, you and I met John Carlos, who finished third in the Olympic Games in the 200 metres with the black power salute back in the day. So there's so many wonderful examples and stories of sitting down and having breakfast or dinner and, getting an insight into their lives and, how motivating that is. So I think there are many. I remember at the Olympic Games back in Sydney, you mentioned 20 years ago, I was fortunate enough to have lunch with Herb Elliott. Now, Herb Elliott won a gold medal um, in the 1500 metres in Rome, and he retired at 22 and was never beaten. So I thought, you know what, here's a really good time to ask Herb Elliott a question. So the question was, hey Herb, I'm excited about racing tonight. Have you got any advice? Any motivation? And he said, yes, get to the front and stay there. So if you were Herb Elliott, that's the way that he ran his races, and he always won. So you can see how we can find that motivation wherever we're going. There's just bits and pieces of it sprinkled everywhere. It's just kind of looking for it. And I think innately, us as human beings, we like to be motivated. We like to be inspired. So it's just finding the motivation that helps you in your journey. So sport's been a wonderful example for me.
I think when we first met, John, and maybe it was the second time we mentioned the book Synchronicity, and we were actually independently both reading that book at the same time, which was weird, which was definition of synchronicity. And I don't know. I mean, do you think there's a plan out there that we're just kind of executing right now? I mean, do you think it's just chaos, or did you and I meet with a purpose? Did you
Okay.
maybe this is too deep. I don't know. Maybe we got
Yeah.
to stay on top of the surface of the water and not go too deep.
um, okay. Well, if we want to open that door, I have a belief after getting hit by a truck and surviving. Maybe I'm meant to do stuff. Maybe I'm meant to meet you. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to quantify, but I know my life's enriched for meeting you, chasing dreams, having goals, loving life. Hopefully, let's come back to motivation. I'll give you a different example on how it's kind of come full circle. So I was asked a couple of years ago to go and meet with a girl who had broken her back. She was cycling and she was getting ready for the Australian Ironman. This particular girl had been to Hawaii as part of the World Championships and got on the podium, so a very good athlete. When I was first asked by her coach to go and visit her, I said to the coach, only if she feels this is the right thing to do. And he said, yes, she'd like to meet with you. So I go into the room in my way of thinking about how do I motivate this girl who's just been broken. And then I thought back to the doctor who motivated me when I was broken. So when I was there with her, and she was very fragile, understandably. Um, and we were having some discussions on, she was saying a lot of things you can't do. So I had to put some clarity. There's a lot of things you can do. And then we got to the point, I said, thank you for allowing me to be here. And I wish you well. And if you'd like for me to come back, I will. And if you don't, I appreciate that. And she said, and this is through tears. She said, I'd like for you to come back. So I thought a lot about what's the best way for me to motivate this girl. So I went back the next time and I had so lucky, as you know, in '95 to get 5 minutes on NBC with Iron Man on a USB stick, and I put that onto her computer. And I said, "There's no reason why you can't go back to Kona, and you can be, an Australian female wheelchair triathlete, and you can fly that flag, and you can be the best version to inspire people right around the world." And then it took a little bit of time, but she was still in hospital. And she said to me, you know what? She said, I'm going to do that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And you have to promise me you'll be there at the finish line. And I said, I guarantee you I'll be there at the finish line. So you can see how a doctor who motivated, inspired me way back when I had my accident, and then going on and doing some stuff for you, and then fast forward in time. And therefore, was I meant to meet Lauren? Lauren Parker is this girl's name. And then we made connections to Bob Babbitt and into the Ironman family. And I think it's really important. Lots of people have contributed to our journey, to you and I, and therefore we feel compelled, and I think it's the right thing to give back to others. So on this field of motivation, she's gone on to be number one in the world in paratriathlon. Obviously, she was getting ready for the Paralympic Games, has been postponed. So it's nice to play a little part in knowing that I was able to assist her journey, and you have done that for me and multiple others. So I think on the motivation, we need to help each other out when we're feeling really flat, and she was clearly that when she was broken in hospital, and now she's living the dream in a different way.
Yeah, that's awesome, John. And look, you motivate a lot of people. You've obviously motivated me, and then the John Maclean Foundation, right? How many millions of dollars have you raised now that goes directly to kids in wheelchairs who need assistance, either getting back into life or getting back into sport? What's the update there?
Yeah, well, it was wonderful to have that opportunity again with you. So lucky. I mean, you're talking about meant to be stuff, right? It's like, what are the chances of me going into this office at Gatorade and just feeling very uncomfortable with a pitch? Like, I never pitched in my life, but I went there with a bit of paper saying, I've done the Ironman. I'd really like to swim the channel, and I'd love for you to support us, and hopefully we can put a documentary together to inspire kids in wheelchairs around the world. Well, you took up that challenge, and since an initial injection of $20,000 here in Australia, we've now been able to convert that to $4 million, helping many kids in this country to go on and chase their dreams and see how far they can go. So we've done a lot of good, and it's hugely motivating for me to come back to go, I need to do more of that. Here's a really good example. There's a young boy just where I get my coffee. He has a mild level intellectual challenge. So he's been employed in a local coffee shop, and it's wonderful that that proprietor is able to do that. And he said, I want to be a chef. So he's going to go and study and become a chef. So he follows the Parramatta Eels, and he loves the Parramatta Eels. Always talks about the Parramatta Eels. So I thought Amanda, my wife, had said, "Why don't you try and do something special for Joey?" Joey's his name. So made a few phone calls and received yesterday a signed Parramatta jersey, Eels jersey, by all of the players. So today at 11 o'clock, we're going to go and present. He has no clue. He's going to get a signed jersey. Plus, he's been invited to being hosted next year, him and his father to go along and watch a game. So you can see how this motivation piece flies in many different ways. So I'm excited to have that opportunity to be there with Amanda to present young Joe with his jersey. So you can see, I think you and I have a responsibility, and others, in terms of our journeys. We've come a long way. It's so important to give back. So that continues to motivate me to do more of that, obviously, for the foundation.
You're a great man, John Maclean, and it's about paying it forward, right? And I think motivation is paid forward, right? You invest that time, and certainly you've done amazing things that when people look at it, goes like, okay, I should be motivated enough to do that. I've always said I haven't had a bad day since I met you. Like, why would I have a bad day? When you've got someone like you to really motivate me to get stuff moving.
So just on that one, sorry to cut in, just briefly, just reminded me of something that's really important. I remember when I was coming through the spinal unit, and I know we've touched on this previously, but those three other guys, when I was moved to the general ward, who couldn't move, that was a huge motivator for me. Whenever I felt flat or down, it was just a referral back to perspective to go, wow, I'm so lucky to move. So don't lose sight of that, given that many can't from a spinal breaking neck. So I've been inspired by many as well. And I'd love to have you in my life, and we've got so much more to do. So let's keep motivated.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to work on and reveal it at the last episode what we're actually going to do next. But look, this has been a great discussion. Just to wrap it up, we're talking about John's book. Again, a great read, easy read. Get it on audio or get the book. There's a link below. The 5 M's. So we've gone through MAP, we've gone through mindset, we've gone through mentor. Today was all about motivation. And next week is about momentum, and then we'll come back with how you wrap all this up. And then we'll find ideas just to keep this going on a weekly basis, just because, love talking to you, and this is a great way to spend an evening here in Denver, and a good morning for you in Sydney. So everybody out there, subscribe, share. Let's move this along. Joshua, thank you so much for pulling this together. John, you're a legend. Love you. Love you like a brother. And let's dream up some fun stuff that you and I can continue. But remember, today was about motivation. If you're in the position to motivate someone, pay it forward, get people moving, be there for them. And signing out, okay, Boomer. And we'll see you next week.